Sharks have ruled the top of the food chain for millions of years. Lurking in the deep since ancient times, these hunters can detect the scent of blood from nearly 1/4 of a mile away. But is it really possible to survive a shark attack? Sometimes the danger doesn't strike head-on. Join us as we dive into real-life encounters with sharks that seemed ordinary until someone caught them on camera. Number 12. Circled by a great white shark. Great whites are the biggest and most ferocious sharks in the seas. Florida resident and diver Jimmy Roseman had a terrifying encounter with a great white, and we're sure it is not something that he would want to relive. Roseman, who was equipped with an underwater camera, filmed the terrifying moment. The predator circled him some 6 to 7 feet away, and despite appearing remote in the video, the threat posed by this giant was palpable. Great whites, distinguished by their pale underbellies, are a massive species that live in oceans all over the world. These predators prefer temperate coastal locations. They can grow up to be over 20 feet long and weigh over 5,000 pounds, with a terrible set of over 300 teeth placed in many rows. When confronted with this powerful foe, Roseman decided to poke it with his spear cannon until this great beast decided to retreat. It is not every day you get to see a man make a great white retreat. Onlookers were amazed, but shark attacks are uncommon and rarely lethal despite their fearsome reputation. However, there is an increase in shark attacks that occurred in Florida's county, emphasizing the county's status as a shark attack hotspot. Number 11. The Shark and the Turtle. A man spotted a shark beneath him while surfing, and instead of feeling scared, he bizarrely seemed pumped about it. He spots a turtle beneath the surface also swimming around in close vicinity to the apex predator. The turtle, realizing the grave danger it was in, immediately made a U-turn but was unable to escape. The man, still excited about and intrigued by the shark's chasing of the turtle, forgot that he was also in a danger zone. He did not realize that the shark would set its sights on him after the turtle. The shark goes on to take a huge chomp out of the surfer's board, sending him tumbling into the water and right into the shark's domain. Despite everything, the man does not let go of his camera. It would appear that he saw this experience as a transformative experience. Not everyone views a date with death as a transformative experience. Number 10. The Feeding Frenzy. A jaw-dropping video that documented the feeding frenzy of sharks off the coast of Venice, Louisiana, sent shockwaves throughout the entire world, especially amongst those who have a lingering fear of Jaws films. The footage was recorded and disseminated by fishermen, and it showed an absurd number of sharks engaged in a feeding frenzy. The reason for this feeding frenzy remains unknown, but some have pointed to the presence of the fishermen. With fishermen come hooks, and with hooks come blood, and with blood comes sharks. This particular video might be a bit disturbing for anyone with shark-induced traumas from movies. And despite Shark Week's informative efforts to highlight the truth about sharks, our deep-rooted fear of these toothy creatures can cause anxiety. This video showcases maritime madness as the sharks take advantage of the fishermen's presence and the promise of a plentiful meal. The bond between these apex predators and the marine ecosystem leaves many people both intrigued and scared of what wonders lie beneath the sea surface. Number 9. Shark attack on a boat. A shocking incident occurred in New Zealand when a 2.5-meter-long mako shark decided it was going to leap onto a fishing boat. Church charter skipper Ryan Churches captured the bizarre situation on tape, with passengers responding in a combination of fear and shock. This shark, weighing 150 kilograms, is considered a baby shark as these sharks may grow up to be 4.5 meters long and weigh over 500 kilograms. As the boat drifted gently off the Whitianga coast, a flash of silver broke the calm blue surface. A split second later, the shark was airborne. With terrifying speed, it launched itself straight toward the vessel, slamming onto the bow with a deafening crash that shook everyone aboard. The passengers stumbled backward, gasping as the shark's tail whipped violently, sending sprays of seawater into the air. The sound of scraping metal filled the air as the shark thrashed desperately, trying to free itself from the deck before sliding back into the waves below. Thankfully, everyone survived the odd event due to the front windscreen of the boat. The situation might have turned out a little differently had the shark landed at the back of the boat. Ryan Churches said that he had never witnessed anything like that in his life, all his years on the water. The mako shark is well known for leaping out of the water at speeds that surpass 50 kilometers per hour. They are also quite notorious for their violent behavior, occasionally known to attack vessels as this one just did. The encounter in New Zealand adds to the long list of incidents that make us remember that the ocean is full of mysteries that can take even the most experienced sailors by surprise. Number 8. Deep blue. The deep blue shark, one of the largest great white sharks ever shot on camera, can be seen chowing down on a giant whale carcass off the coast of Hawaii. In this jaw-dropping video dropped by scientists, the size of the deep blue is on display, and it is thought to be over 20 feet long. Andrew Gray, a marine researcher, and Kimberly Jeff, a photographer, courageously swim mere feet away from this beast, capturing rare footage of this huge species. Despite the large size of Deep Blue, she has been filmed not aggressively at all, approaching one diver and even tolerating the presence of other scuba divers close by, even allowing free diver and model Ocean Ramsey to hold on to one of her fins while swimming with her. However, multiple sources disputed that the shark encountered by Ramsey was Deep Blue and was more likely to be Haole Girl. Before this interaction, the shark is said to have already fed on some of the whale carcass, which may have contributed to her placid behavior around the divers. When Deep Blue was filmed in Mexico a few years before, she was seen calmly swimming around the shark cage and only taking curious bites at the cage. She did not attack Padillo, who had been on top of the cage and exposed. The diver was even able to touch her fin, stating he was trying to push her away from the cage. Deep Blue has noticeable pigmentation and markings on her body, with a large laceration over her right side. In addition to her length, her body has a noticeable girth to it, indicating she may have been pregnant. Deep Blue was identified by researchers by her size and the pattern of where the gray coloring meets the white underside. Shark photographer George Probst notes that a shark's countershade is unique to the individual of the species and is analogous to a human fingerprint. Deep Blue also sailed from Guadalupe Island to Hawaii, and the big shark journey is reminiscent of the incredible migrations of the great white sharks. Number 7. The Kayaker and the Shark. This horrific encounter off the coast of Hawaii was captured on camera by a man fishing from his kayak. This footage is surely one of the most heart-pounding footage of close calls ever. The kayaker, Scott Haraguchi, was fishing near Oahu when a tiger shark approached. The GoPro clip catches the terrifying moment when the shark rushes to the boat, mouth wide open. Moments earlier, the ocean had been calm and serene, with only the rhythmic splash of Haraguchi's paddle breaking the surface. Suddenly, a shadow emerged beneath the kayak, cutting through the blue water like a torpedo. Haraguchi initially thought it was a turtle rising for air, but that illusion shattered in seconds when the shark's striped body came into focus. The predator surged forward with explosive force, its jaws gaping wide enough to swallow a small seal whole. The sound of the impact echoed through the kayak's hull, sending shockwaves of fear through the fishermen. As the shark's head scraped along the side, Haraguchi instinctively kicked out, his foot connecting with its snout in a desperate move that may have saved his life. Salt water splashed into his eyes as the massive creature turned sharply, vanishing back into the deep with a flick of its tail. His heart pounded wildly, the kayak rocking as he struggled to regain balance. For a few tense seconds, Haraguchi braced himself, unsure if the shark would return for another strike. When the water finally settled, he could hear nothing but his ragged breathing and the faint hum of the ocean. Haraguchi yells in terror as the shark's head glides along the side of the kayak, too close for comfort for him. Quickly, Haraguchi kicks the shark with his left foot, pushing it back into the ocean. The video captures the close approach of the shark. Haraguchi realized he had made close contact with a shark, rather than a turtle as he had previously assumed it was when it was approaching. In the wake of the attack, he realizes that it was a tiger shark. The incredible clip shared on YouTube revealed the quick sequence of events that left him speechless when he reviewed the footage on the GoPro at home. In a later interview, he theorized that the shark might have thought he was a wounded seal it had seen previously. The entire occurrence takes place in a couple of seconds, and he was just a few inches away from the jaws of death. Number 6. Angry Shark Attack. In the Ocean Ramsey, an experienced swimmer with sharks avoided getting hit by the 16-feet-long tiger shark, Queen Nikki. Ramsey, who had been swimming with sharks for over 2 decades, describes the incident in Hawaii as a shock. Queen Nikki just leaped out of the water and bit at Ramsey's fins in this heartbreaking incident. Ramsey says that Nikki's reaction was caused by her quick entry into the sea. Moments before the encounter, the ocean was unusually calm, and visibility was perfect, ideal conditions for shark observation. Ramsey noticed the distinct silhouette of Queen Nikki gliding below, her massive tail carving through the turquoise water like a torpedo. Within seconds, that calm transformed into chaos when the shark surged upward with explosive force, its jaws narrowly missing Ramsey's leg. The sudden burst sent a wave of bubbles and sand spiraling around them. Ramsey, maintaining composure, extended her arm forward, using her body language to appear non-threatening. Her dive partner, filming the scene nearby, could be heard gasping through the microphone, his voice shaking as the shark circled back. Nikki's immense body brushed past Ramsey, a moment so close that the friction against her fins vibrated through the water. As the predator swam off, Ramsey's steady breathing and calm gestures exemplified years of training and deep respect for these apex creatures. When she surfaced, she recalled her heart pounding like a drum, but also described an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the encounter, calling it a reminder of nature's raw power and unpredictability. Despite the anticipation of swimming with the sharks, Ramsey recognized the shark's behavior and decided to back off, demonstrating the experience that she had gained from decades of swimming with these predators. She also demonstrated her extensive knowledge of these creatures. "Imagine going straight into the mouth of a tiger shark," Ramsey said. Sharks, according to marine biologists, are intriguing and interactive beings who ought to be respected as wild animals and apex predators. Ramsey, who dives into the water daily for shark study and conservation, aims to teach people about shark behavior, and she views such an opportunity to highlight the beauty of these species such as Queen Nikki and dispel myths about them. The adrenaline-pumping video captured the exhilaration of the event, emphasizing Ramsey's love for these sharks. Her commitment to altering public opinion is a strong one. She hopes to emphasize that while sharks are powerful creatures, they are not monsters, and that developing respect for these species is critical as she continues her shark studies. Number 5. The Diver's Box and the Great White. Hold your breath as we plunge you into a heart-pounding scene from the Shark Week documentary. In this thrilling film, a 4.8-meter great white shark shatters a diver's safety cage, releasing a terrifying encounter. Presenter and shark guide Jimmy Partington stands inside the Prospects diver's box, facing the circling sea monster. Anticipation grows, and curiosity causes the great white to give the box a quick bump. From the drone footage above, the sheer size of the shark becomes evident. Its body dwarfs the metal cage like a submarine lurking beneath the waves. The crew on the surface can be heard shouting warnings through the comms as the shark's movements grow increasingly aggressive. Moments later, the beast lunges with astonishing speed, smashing the bars with its snout in a single violent strike. The force of the impact sends shockwaves through the water, shaking the cage like a tin can. Inside, Jimmy grips the bars as bubbles and debris swirl around him, visibility plummeting to near zero. For a brief, chilling moment, the massive predator vanishes into the murk, only to reappear seconds later, its jaws wide open, teeth flashing like white knives in the dim light. The crew above frantically tries to lift the cage, but the hydraulic winch groans under the weight. Everyone's hearts race as the shark's tail thrashes, striking the side of the vessel before disappearing into the blue abyss. The shark then quickly swims towards the divers and destroys the bottom of the cage. Jimmy clings to the cage, while straining to remain afloat, before courageously swimming back to safety. This entire terrifying encounter, captured by a drone and underwater camera, is a pivotal moment in the documentary. Jeff Kerr, the film's director and producer, emphasizes the miraculous nature of the event. It is not every day that people survive getting hit by a 16-foot great white shark. Partington, though, survived the encounter without a scratch. Despite Partington's close call with death, reports indicate an upsurge in human marine animal encounters in the United States in recent times. Now it's time for today's topic. In late 2023, an Australian Navy submarine patrolling off the coast of Western Australia's Exmouth Plateau detected something that has since baffled both scientists and military analysts. During a routine deep-sea systems check at nearly 4,000 meters below sea level, sonar operators aboard the HMAS Rankin picked up a massive moving object, larger than any known living species. The sonar signature showed a dense, fast-moving mass over 90 feet long, with a biological pattern that didn't match whales, submarines, or geological formations. Moments later, the crew recorded a series of deep, rhythmic pulses, believed to be low-frequency calls, similar to whale communication but significantly more powerful. When the onboard drone camera was deployed, it captured a blurry yet chilling image of what appeared to be a gigantic shark-like creature, moving with deliberate precision through the dark. Its size, body structure, and speed led experts to speculate that it could be a surviving relative of Carcharocal's megalodon, the prehistoric apex predator thought to have gone extinct over 3 million years ago. National Geographic marine researchers have since been granted partial access to the data for analysis, though much of the footage remains classified. What lurks beneath Australia's deep ocean remains one of the most terrifying unsolved marine mysteries of modern times. Number 4. The spear fisherman and the bull shark. This terrifying encounter occurred on the far north Queensland coast, when a spear fisherman was charged by a bull shark. The thrilling moment unfolds in a video recorded by Danny Henrik, when the shark impales herself on his spear gun, during his Queensland vacation. Danny was spearfishing when he found himself alone in the deep seas. The bull shark initially seemed interested in him, but then it turned abruptly and charged toward the boat. As Danny steadied his breathing, he could see the massive shadow of the shark circling beneath him, its movements growing more erratic with each pass. The tension in the water was palpable. Even the smaller fish seemed to vanish as the predator approached. Danny recalled later that the shark's eyes locked onto him, cold and unblinking moments before it lunged with terrifying speed. The impact rattled him to his core, and for a split second he thought he wouldn't make it out alive. His mask filled with bubbles, and the water churned with blood as the wounded shark twisted in agony. It was a chaotic blur of motion, sound, and instinct, a raw battle between man and nature. The entire ordeal lasted less than 30 seconds, but to Danny, it felt like an eternity under the crushing weight of the ocean. In an attempt to repel the shark, Danny surged forward with his spear gun. The shark's assault has so much force in it that it impaled itself on the spear gun. The shark thrashed around, and Danny, seeing an opportunity to escape, quickly released the gun and swam to the surface. He expressed disbelief and also laid emphasis on the significance of being cautious. He reflected on the incident, and despite being shaken, he is still determined to continue spearfishing. Only this time, he has decided that he will always go with a friend for increased safety. This terrifying experience caught on camera emphasizes the unpredictability of marine interactions and the importance of taking preventive steps when exploring deep waters, especially for seasoned spear fishermen like Danny. Number 3. Close call with a great white. In this disturbing video, a swimmer's close encounter with a great white is captured on camera from Santa Cruz County, California. A 10-foot shark can be seen lurking just beneath the surface near New Brighton State Beach in the drone footage. The drone operator warns the swimmer of the presence of a shark in the water, also emphasizing the presence of multiple shark warning signs nearby. But one question that comes to mind is, how did the shark end up in the waters of Monterey Bay? Many believe that the increase in great white activity in Monterey Bay is connected to climate change and global warming. Ocean temperatures along the Bay Area shoreline have been warming up, and this has resulted in unusual shark behavior. Eric Mailander, a fisherman, spotted juvenile white sharks in Monterey Bay during unusual spring months, sparking scientific inquiries. The introduction of young white sharks into the region, something that did not happen before, correlated with climate occurrences such as the warm blob phenomena. This surge of warm ocean water held baby sharks in pockets of warmth around Monterey Bay, interrupting their normal routines. Whilst it may be exciting to witness these changes, the consequences of these are quite concerning. Despite the uncertainty about the origins and migration patterns of these young white sharks, their presence continues to pose a threat, as you never know when you might come face to face with these apex predators. Eric Mailander raised concerns about the safety of surfers and swimmers alike. A man was killed in a shark attack as he was surfing at a state beach in Northern California on Saturday, the authorities said. The man, Ben Kelly, 26, was about 100 yards from shore at Manresa State Beach near Santa Cruz when he was attacked around 1:30 p.m., the California Department of Parks and Recreation said on Sunday. The beach, at the northern end of Monterey Bay, had been closed to the public between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. as part of an effort to curb the spread of the coronavirus. While the beach was closed, people were allowed in the water for active aquatic recreation, the Parks Department said. Because of the attack, the beach has been closed to the public until May 14th, and signs warning beachgoers about the attack have been posted at access points. Mr. Kelly, a surfboard maker, lived in Santa Cruz with his wife, Katie Kelly. He was a self-taught shaper of surfboards who designed his first board when he was a child. According to a biography on the website of his business, Ben Kelly Surfboards, he took pride in sanding surfboards by hand to the specifications of his customers. Shark attacks are rare, but it is not unusual for them to occur close to shore, Mr. Thorold said. The Florida Museum in Gainesville, Florida, which keeps track of shark attacks worldwide, documented 64 unprovoked shark attacks and 40 provoked attacks last year. That was down slightly from the average of 82 annual unprovoked attacks for the 4-year period from 2014 to 2018. Hippos kill way more people every year than sharks do, Mr. Thorold said. While sharks prefer not to eat humans, surfers can find themselves in danger because the silhouette of a surfboard with a surfer on top, as seen by a shark underwater, can resemble a seal, Mr. Thorold said. Number 2. The death of Ken Crew. Ken Crew's death in the state capital of Perth changed the city's notion of itself as a beach lover's paradise. It marked a moment of horror that still resonates. 18 years on, first-person accounts of those who swam with Crew and witnessed his death continue to affect people, particularly those of his friend Jerry Ventura's. In his account of what happened, he said he turned around and saw this enormous fin traveling on the inside of Ken. It came in behind him. It was surreal. This damn big shark, somewhere between 5 meters and 6 meters, heads up out of the water, its jaws wide open surging towards Ken. Without even stopping, it seemed to grab him across the lower half of his body, lift him out of the water, give him a couple of shakes like a dog would shake at a bone, and then drop him in the middle of the pool in a great cloud of blood. There was no sound. Between September 2011 and July 2012, 5 people were killed by white sharks. Their deaths brought a tangible sense of panic and turned Western Australia into an undisputed white shark hotspot. With each new encounter, swimmers, surfers, and divers have become both more jittery and polarized in their views about what should be done. the West Australian government has installed measures to help protect ocean users. A network of 30 satellite-linked shark monitoring receivers, which signal the presence of tagged sharks, is one line of defense, in addition to the introduction of non-lethal smart drum lines, a system in which sharks are baited on a hook, then tagged and released offshore. In the summer of 2019, some of West Australia's most popular surf breaks will be linked for the first time to this broader network of receivers, and smart drum lines will be trialed. This follows the cancellation in April of the high-profile international surf competition, the Margaret River Pro, after 2 surfers were attacked by great white sharks just hours and a few kilometers apart. The situation became untenable when the Brazilian pro surfer and current world champion, Gabriel Medina, told his 6 million Instagram followers he didn't feel safe competing in Margaret River, an Australian surfing mecca. Despite bolstered aerial surveillance, smart drum lines, and the addition of further shark monitoring receivers, confidence is far from buoyant. Most surfers and divers understand that only tagged sharks moving into specific swimming and surfing areas can be pinged. In West Australia, that's 450 sharks, of which 290 are white sharks. A separate problem is that many southwest surf breaks are located in deep water above dark substrate, making shark spotting from the air almost impossible. But Surf Life Saving West Australia's ramped-up drone monitoring program is finding plenty of sharks, and more surfers and swimmers are staying informed about problem areas via SLSWA's Twitter feed. Survivors of shark attacks and their families often lament the fact that sharks were spotted in the area hours or days beforehand and, had they known this, they would never have entered the water. Number 1. Alan Oppert and the Great White. On a whisper-still January dawn, the most terrifying day of Alan Oppert's life began unremarkably and with a feeling of deep calm. Like most Sundays, he woke to a knock on the door from his friends Dan and Dave. At Alan's neat house in the small seaside town of Binningup, in the southwest corner of Western Australia, the 3 men drank strong coffee before towing Alan's boat to a nearby ramp where 3 friends were launching another vessel. The 2 groups were heading out on the ocean together, a familiar arrangement aimed at ensuring safety. Alan turned the key on his boat's engine as the western horizon illuminated a glassy sea, a low swell barely bothering the shore. At the height of an Australian summer, mornings on the ocean offered early respite from the baking heat and unrelenting wind of the afternoon. The 2 boats were heading to a dive site that the men visited most weekends of the year, conditions allowing. A 15-minute boat ride from shore, the site featured a roughly cylindrical cavity about 6 meters wide and 3 meters deep on the ocean floor. In 33 meters of water, the crater bristled with crayfish, a delicious but formidable-looking crustacean prized for its sweet, delicate flesh. After several hours and 2 separate dives into the heart of the crater, a single tank of air remained between the 6 men. After entering the water for his 3rd dive of the day, this time alone, Alan, a 42-year-old prison officer, began his descent. The process, as always, involved the release of air from inside his buoyancy vest to enable heavy weights strapped to his hips to drag him from the surface to the ocean floor. But this time he didn't quite make it. The torpedo-shaped bulk of a huge great white shark inside the crater below loomed into view and, in the nanosecond that followed, Alan registered both the animal's curious demeanor, like a dog on a scent, and a firm belief that his life would not end there. The shark was going over to one spot and having a look and going over to another and having a sniff. These sharks are like dogs, in their gestures and their behavior. They hunch up their backs when they are annoyed, and she was annoyed. All of a sudden, she spun around. He got about halfway to the bottom. He thought in his mind that she was going to attack from the back or she was going to attack from the side. Throughout the entire process, Alan says not once did death cross his mind. An uncannily cool head gave Alan the presence of mind to reinflate his buoyancy vest, preventing further descent. Days later, while examining his equipment, he noted the depth gauge registered just 17 meters. Considering that great white sharks have been clocked swimming 13 meters a second, it is no surprise that the impact of the strike instantly pulled Alan's face mask down around his neck. But he kept his regulator, the mouthpiece that delivers air, firmly between his teeth. Throughout the dog-like shaking of his body that followed, he managed to pull the mask back over his face and purge it of water, returning terrifying visibility, an intimate view into the gelatinous gill slits of the world's biggest predatory fish. He thought to himself, "Phew, it's big." She was clenched down on both legs and the teeth were through to the bone. The pressure was so great that he thought if it gets any tighter, they'll snap. She'll snap both his legs off. When the shark released its grip, the inflated buoyancy vest sent Oppert shooting to the surface, where he raised the alarm and was pulled to safety. Alan's steel spear gun, which that morning had shot some large fish, was at the moment of the attack positioned across his thigh. It would be fair to surmise that the very implement that probably attracted the shark in the first place, by prompting fish distress signals that can travel far across the ocean, also helped to preserve his life by preventing the shark's teeth from gaining full purchase above his knee. Like many others in Western Australia at the time, Alan was well aware of a fatal shark attack that had occurred 4 years earlier on a suburban beach about 150 kilometers up the coast. A middle-aged man had been mauled in shallow water in front of dozens of onlookers. But in the years that followed the death of Ken Crew in 2000, the first such attack in living memory, many West Australians held the view it had been a one-off event, a freakish aberration caused by a rogue shark that had mistaken the swimmer for a seal. With no subsequent fatality to spook him and no inkling that an attack would kill a surfer further down the coast just 6 months later, Alan had descended without a care in the world. It was a decision that nearly cost him his life and has left him 14 years later with the still visible scars from the multiple puncture marks of a shark's teeth on his legs. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another one of our interesting videos.